What happens in our community, they've got us chasing the bag and not principle and not integrity. Because when all of that start hitting and all that start going on, I heard my brother with my own ears say, she's burned too many bridges. And I don't know if there's anything I can do for her. And that hurt my feelings because I'm like, brother, you never picked up the phone and say, hey, Mo, what's going on? Before you went on the air and you said to millions of listeners, she's burned too many bridges. You were a part of pushing that agenda before you even asked me what was going on. So when I got on the show, I knew I needed to have that conversation. If you know what you're standing in and what you're standing for, don't stop, because you never know what could happen on the backside of that story. And you see what happens on the backside of our story. We got back together.
You must feel like a sense of freedom too, to be standing in your truth and to be able to get through that.
It looks like Hollywood just got a little hotter for the Wayans brothers. Marlon Wayans, known for his comedic genius and lighthearted approach to life, decided it was time to address some bold statements made by Monique. Recently, Monique aimed at the entire Wayans family, throwing shade at the brothers who've been a staple in the comedy scene for decades. From In Living Color to blockbuster hits like White Chicks and Scary Movie, the Wayans family has always been at the forefront of shaping comedy in film and TV. But Monique, never one to hold back, had some strong opinions about them, and Marlon wasn't about to let it slide. In a rare, more serious moment, Marlon confronted the comments head-on, addressing the criticism with his usual sharp wit, but also with a tone that made it clear this wasn't just playful banter. He defended not only his brothers, but also the legacy the Wayans family has built over the years, all while showing respect for Monique's career. With two comedy giants going head-to-head, it's no wonder fans are glued to the drama, eager to see how this all unfolds. Monique recently opened up about her thoughts on Steve Harvey, especially after Cat Williams' viral interview with Shannon Sharpe stirred up some conversations in the entertainment world. During an exclusive sit-down with James Randers, Monique took a trip down memory lane to reflect on her friendship with Harvey and how things took a sharp turn after her appearance on his talk show, The Steve Harvey Show, back in 2020. According to Monique, what went down between them was far from just a misunderstanding. It was a defining moment in their relationship. She explained that she had high hopes for their conversation on the show, thinking it would be a space for an open, honest dialogue. Instead, she felt blindsided by the way Harvey handled the interview, which she says led to their falling out. She didn't hold back in expressing her disappointment, revealing how their once strong friendship took a hit after that public exchange. Monique also made it clear that Harvey's approach during their talk didn't sit right with her, especially considering their history as friends and fellow comedians. She felt like the conversation veered away from the real issues she wanted to discuss, which left her feeling disrespected and frustrated. It's clear that Monique still holds strong feelings about the incident and believes it played a big role in the breakdown of their relationship. When Steve Harvey sat on that show and he said, "Mo, your husband can't be out here flexing like he does. He can't be who he is when he come out here. Let me tell you what that meant," she shared. During that interview, Monique says she and her husband and manager, Sydney Hicks, were working on landing her a potential deal for a talk show that was going to have the same producers as The Steve Harvey Show. She went on to explain that during a meeting, the producers was sharing Harvey's business with them, including how much he was getting paid, which was a major turnoff for them. My husband said, "Number one, my wife considers that man her brother, and number two, he's my frat brother and we don't play like that," Monique said. "Please don't share that man's business with us, because if you share his business with us, you'll share our business with someone else." Monique further explained that they told Harvey about the incident and allegedly went back to producers and said, "Man, sometimes my frat brothers can be a little fanatical, man. That ain't nothing. I'll take care of it." One shocking detail in the conversation is when Monique's husband claimed that Harvey monitored the number of black people in his show because he was scared that too many black people on camera could mess up his sponsors. "I'm not gonna let these people mess it up for me," Hicks said Harvey told him. All of these conversations started once Cat Williams accused Harvey of copying elements of Mark Curry's sitcom Hangin' with Mr. Cooper while developing The Steve Harvey Show. The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had, Williams said. Cooper's sitcom ran for 5 seasons on ABC from 1992 to 1997. Harvey's eponymous sitcom aired between 1996 and 2002 on the now defunct WB network. During that same interview with Shannon Sharpe, Williams also stated that Steve Harvey wasn't talented enough to be a movie star. "You couldn't wouldn't be a movie star, the actor-comedian said. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asked for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good and look like Mr. Potato Head. One person drew a comparison and wrote, Monique went on Shannon Shadow's podcast and did a way more reformed and cleaner version of what Cat Williams did, and the reaction was far worse than his because y'all hate black women. I'm sick of y'all, but there were some other opinions too. Another added, we're sick of Monique, that's the truth. At this point, she's known more for her rants than anything else. If you have a problem with everyone in the damn industry, then perhaps the problem is you, and you need to bow out. Anyway, back to Mo. In the interview, Monique reiterated her claim that Marlon Wayans stole one of her jokes for the film, White Chicks. She expressed frustration, asserting that not only was her joke taken, but she also felt exploited in the process. According to Monique, the joke in question was something she had developed and used in her own stand-up routines, and she was dismayed to see it repurposed in the film without proper acknowledgement or compensation. Monique didn't hold back in describing how this incident made her feel marginalized and taken advantage of. She argued that as a comedian, having your material used without permission is a significant breach of trust and respect. She emphasized that it wasn't just about the joke itself, but about the broader issue of being exploited within the industry. For Monique, this wasn't just a personal slight, but a reflection of a larger pattern of how black female comedians are often undervalued and exploited in Hollywood. Sometime later, Shannon Sharpe also had Marlon Wayans on his show, where the topic of the stolen joke came up. During their conversation, Sharpe didn't shy away from addressing Monique's allegations head-on. He brought up the claims that Marlon had appropriated one of Monique's jokes for White Chicks, putting Marlon in a position to respond directly to these accusations. Marlon, visibly ready to clear the air, explained his side of the story. Marlon began by expressing his admiration for Monique. He made it clear that he has great respect for her work, highlighting her powerful performance in Precious. He was unequivocal in his support, saying, I love Monique. I love my sister. When she goes out for her money and things like that, I'm like, get your money, sis. Marlon underscored that if Monique feels her value is a certain amount, he hopes she gets every single dollar she's worth, plus a little extra for good measure. He praised her talent and acknowledged her contributions to the industry.
Because you wasn't returning my calls. You wasn't returning my text. See, I gave you the opportunity to have a private, when people say, why didn't you talk to him privately? I gave him the opportunity to do that. My texts and my calls went unanswered and unreturned. And someone would say, well, why wouldn't you return it? If you put out there that we have this relationship and this friendship, but when it came about, oh, you're going against the powers that be, and I want the powers to be that, no, I'm not on that side. So I'm going to say what it's going to take for them to know I'm with the machine. I'm not about equality. I'm not about what's right and what's fair.
However, when it came to the accusations of joke theft, Marlon was adamant. He responded to Sharpe's question by saying, but when it comes to like stealing her joke, no, I don't need to steal jokes. Marlon explained that the joke in question was an old one, something akin to a classic knock-knock joke, and not something specifically original to Monique. He clarified that the joke had been circulating for years before it was used in White Chicks. According to Marlon, the idea for the joke came about spontaneously on set when they thought it would be funny to incorporate the baby powder bit. Marlon took the opportunity to stress his commitment to originality in comedy. He made it clear that he believes stealing jokes is a serious offense and would never engage in such practices. I think it's a crime to steal jokes. I don't steal them. That diminishes my returns as a writer, he said. For Marlon, the integrity of his work and respecting other comedians' material is paramount. In his conversation with Shannon Sharpe, Marlon Wayans went into detail about his approach to comedy and his principles regarding joke theft. He explained that rather than appropriating someone else's material, he prefers to offer constructive feedback. I'd rather punch up your joke and gift you that, Marlon said. He shared that when he's watching other comedians perform, if he notices something that could be enhanced, he might offer a suggestion. I go watch comedians sometimes, and if I'm watching your set and you're about to go out, I'll say, hey, you should try this right here. But I don't go, oh, they stole my joke. This, according to Marlon, is his way of supporting fellow comedians without crossing ethical boundaries. Marlon also touched on the personal nature of his comedy. That's why for me, if it ain't personal, I ain't doing it, he explained. He sees his comedy as a form of therapy where he explores and finds humor in his own pain and experiences. My sets are about my pain. I go, what's funny about my pain? Because it's part therapy, and that's where the best humor comes from. You can't steal my pain. You can't steal my life. I have a personal journey. If you hear somebody say, man, I'm the youngest of 10 kids, that's me. Marlon made it clear that his comedic material is deeply personal and rooted in his own experiences, which he believes cannot be replicated appreciated by others. So no, I would never steal a joke. I love Monique. Respect to Monique. I love you, sis. But no, that's not how it went down. The conversation then shifted as Sharp brought up Marlon's daughter. Marlon took a moment to acknowledge the topic with a bit of humor. Yeah, hold on, let me get a drink. This is a drink of celebration, homeboy. How about that, he said, signaling a lighthearted shift in the discussion. As the interview continued, Shannon Sharp decided to steer the conversation in a new direction. After Marlon Wayans had thoroughly addressed the accusations from Monique, Sharp didn't press the issue any further. Instead, he smoothly moved on to other topics, shifting the focus of their chat. Marlon seemed pretty relaxed and confident, having made his points. He was sure of himself, standing firm in his denial of the joke-stealing allegations. It was clear that he felt he had said everything he needed to say about the controversy. He didn't seem to have any lingering doubts or guilt about the situation. Later, a resurfaced video showing Monique performing a joke that appears in White Chicks has sparked a heated debate. Some people are divided on whether Monique's claims are valid, since yo mama jokes are a staple in comedy and often recycled, making it hard to pinpoint its original source. Fans posted the video online and wrote, "Monique vs. Tracy Morgan, Yo Mama, Part 1. Yes, this is where the White Chicks joke came from." One person wrote on X, "I wonder if Sean and Marlon gave Monique credit for this in White Chicks." Underneath an Instagram repost of Monique's accusations, Marlon Wayans commented stating, "She's never got anything good to say. By the way, no jokes were stolen." He emphasized that the Wayans brothers are legendary figures in comedy and acting, so challenging them is no small feat. Marlon stood firm in his denial, maintaining that no material was taken from Monique. Monique, known for her fearless approach to speaking out, has never been one to shy away from controversy. During a podcast with James Sanders, she also addressed her ongoing feud with Steve Harvey. Monique described Harvey as "my brother," but mentioned how some people in the industry believe they can say and do anything without repercussions, which she refuses to accept.
And let me say this, and I'll try to say this with love, but I say it because it's how I feel. I've never met so many cowards in our black men in show business. I've never met so many black men that have no goddamn backbone. So when I went on the Steve Harvey show, I knew the conversation I was gonna have with my brother. I didn't know the conversation he was gonna have back with me.
He said something. He was on D.L. Hughley's new show.
Yes.
Did you guys kind of see the conversation?
Yes.
He mentioned that he edited the interview to protect you.
Yes.
What didn't we see in that interview?
Tell them what they didn't see.
Well, let me say this. When I watched Steve on the D.L. Hughley show make that comment, and see, I'm trying to learn how to not take things personally, okay? That's the Sagittarian in me, because we fight and we be like, who talking to? But I'm trying. And when I saw him say, I had to edit things out to protect Monique, well, I said air the whole interview, because there's nothing I said that needed protection. But what you said was, yeah, I'm pissed that these white boys gonna do me like that, and them white boys was supposed to call me, and them white boys and them white boys. Well, all of that got edited out. Why didn't you air that? Because there's nothing, and when he said, I would have appreciated had them white boys called me up and told me what was going on. I said, oh, like I would have appreciated had you called me up before you went on the air to millions and told them about the bridges I burned. So see, when you have people that say things like, oh, I was protecting her, well then DL should have said, brother, what is it that she said? See, because, and let me say this, and I'll try to say this with love, but I say it because it's how I feel. I've never met so many cowards.
Reactions on social media have been mixed. One user on X supported Monique, saying, "Monique, keep your foot on everyone's necks. This is what the industry needs, a real shakeup." Another praised her bravery, noting, "I'm so here for the whole industry speaking up right now. It's brilliant. Monique is just the person to do it with her strong voice and head on her shoulders." However, there were also critics, like one who commented, "Monique, sweetie, please stop speaking up about every small thing. You're blocking opportunities for yourself and for other women. It's making black women seem as though we're never happy with anything, just like Taraji complaining about pay." One more person said, "Y'all not gonna shame Monique for telling us what these people are doing behind the scenes. She trying to get y'all hip on the mistreatment of colored women. She is going to make her money, period. They don't call her a legend for no reason." So the question remains, is Monique right to call out the movie White Chicks? After Cat Williams took us for a wild ride, Monique came in and spun us in a whole new direction. While Cat was all about how real talent often gets overshadowed by popularity, Monique is giving us a close-up look at Black Hollywood, showing how how the struggles of wealthy black individuals can sometimes echo the challenges faced by those with fewer resources. Monique drops some serious wisdom that's definitely worth noting. First off, she points out that corruption flourishes when people aren't held accountable. She and Cat Williams both agree that you can admire someone's work and still call them out when they mess up. If we don't address wrongs, those bad patterns just keep going. She also makes a great point about friendships. If you let a friend get away with doing something wrong without holding them accountable, you're not really helping them grow. And if that friend isn't willing to own up to their mistakes and make things right, it makes you wonder if that's a friendship worth keeping.
I've never met so many black men that have no goddamn backbone. And that bothers me. Because y'all know when the cameras aren't running, see, I know these people when the cameras aren't running. And that's when I look at my brother and I say, how dare you, Steve?
Monique's message is a wake-up call. Success in Black Hollywood doesn't mean immunity from accountability. Real progress happens when we're honest and strive for growth, both personally and in the broader system. And this isn't the first time someone has allegedly tried to steal from her. Monique isn't holding back when she calls out the community, saying it's time to get our act together. If we're wronged, it's on us to demand justice. And when our so-called heroes mess up, we have to hold them accountable so that justice can be served. Justice isn't just about making things right. It's about matching the wrong with an equal response. A genuine apology and fair compensation are the bare minimum someone should offer when they mess up. So, let's talk about that juicy part where Monique brought up Oprah and Tyler Perry. According to Monique, Oprah allegedly felt threatened by Monique's Oscar win. In this drama-filled narrative, Oprah supposedly blackballed Monique and even stole some movie roles from her, costing her millions. The story goes that Oprah's jealousy led her to publicly embarrass Monique on her show by bringing up her family and discussing her past abuse. Now, Oprah's behavior sounds pretty shady. Monique has been calling her out for years, and Oprah has just brushed it off, even expecting Monique to work for nothing. It's wild to think that a black billionaire who could make a huge difference in the lives of other black people would choose to act this way. Monique made a powerful point when she talked about how sometimes the biggest issues came from within our own community. She was highlighting that not all skin folk were necessarily kinfolk, which was why she referred to the disconnect with Oprah. But Oprah wasn't the only one responsible for the corruption in Black Hollywood. An apology from her wouldn't have magically fixed everything. The real problem lay in how everyone contributed to perpetuating the cycle of corruption. Monique also pointed out that it wasn't just high-profile figures like Oprah and Tyler Perry who were problematic. Even within her own community, people like Marlon Wayans, who was also black, were involved. According to her, Marlon had stolen from her, highlighting how individuals within her own circle could sometimes be the ones trying to bring her down. She acknowledged that everyone played a role in this cycle, even if they didn't realize it. For instance, she admitted that she had likely contributed to this cycle herself. There were probably friends she should have held more accountable for their actions, but instead, she had chosen to distance herself rather than help them improve. She recognized that this approach wasn't ideal and that it was crucial for everyone to not only point out problems, but actively work toward making things better. Recently, she also called for a boycott of Netflix, arguing that she had been discriminated against as an African-American woman. She was outraged when Netflix offered her significantly less money than her white or male counterparts for a comedy special. When her demand didn't gain the traction she hoped for, Monique and others began highlighting this incident as another example of how broader society often fails to support black women. In her comments about Netflix, Monique compared her offer of $500,000 with the reportedly higher financial offers extended to Amy Schumer, Chris Rock, and Dave Chappelle. Monique highlighted that Schumer received $13 million, while Rock and Chappelle were offered $20 million each. According to Monique, Netflix justified her lower offer by citing their expectations for the number of viewers for her special. Vulture.com reported that Netflix had based Schumer's offer on the success of her sold-out Madison Square Garden show and her upcoming film. When it comes to measuring influence, many people, especially those who spend time on X, often look at follower counts. This method isn't exactly accurate, but it gives a rough estimate of a person's reach and impact. Monique, with her 152,000 followers, has a solid presence, which I would consider a notable achievement. In contrast, Amy Schumer boasts 4.71 million followers, Chris Rock has 5.34 million, and even Dave Chappelle, despite having only 556,000 followers, as he was on X for just a month in 2012, has significant influence. Monique, who won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, argues that her prestigious resume should justify higher compensation. She's concerned that Netflix might use her deal as a benchmark for other comedians. She stated, "I am the most decorated comedian alive. If I accepted $500,000, what does Tiffany Haddish have coming? However, according to my X metrics, this numbers may not be entirely accurate. Tiffany Haddish, a younger comedian with 205,000 followers, will likely be evaluated based on her own ability to attract an audience rather than Monique's compensation. Haddish recently secured a deal with HBO, which suggests that her market value is assessed in an entirely different manner. Several black women, including Monique, have highlighted how white women in Hollywood have spoken out against pay inequities, yet remained silent about Monique's situation. For instance, Deborah Messing and others called out E! For its pay disparities on the red carpet. Kat Sadler, one of E!'s co-hosts, left the network after discovering that her younger male colleague, Jason Kennedy, was earning more. According to X Metrics, Kat Sadler had 186,000 followers, while Jason Kennedy had 229,000. Although the follower gap is minor, the pay disparity is glaring, especially given Sadler's experience and tenure. Netflix operates as a corporate entity focused on profit, not public equity. Their decisions are driven by the ability to draw audiences. Monique's smaller following compared to Amy Schumer or Chris Rock might explain their lower offer from a business standpoint. Nonetheless, it's impossible to ignore the roles that sexism and racism likely play in these decisions. The disparity in treatment and compensation for Monique compared to her peers suggests deeper systemic issues within the industry. So, what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you like this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.